It's the worst sickness because um it happened out of nowhere. It wasn't like me. Uh, it wasn't. I didn't do anything like bad. I just slept wrong, and then now I'm
Mm,
cooked.
damn. You
It's the
slept
worst.
wrong?
Yeah, um like I slept with my mouth open, and it just dried my throat out, and then I woke up. And the
Dude,
worst
I
part was it
hate
was on
that.
Thanksgiving too, so like I
No.
was I couldn't like eat properly. It was awful. But
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed all this mouth breathing, the tape and stuff that people use. And it's like it makes sense though because sometimes I don't know, like I'll wake up at like 5 to go to the bathroom or whatever, and then like my nose will get stuffy for some reason, just gets stuffy as I'm trying to
yeah,
go to sleep, and I'm like, damn, I can't breathe, and like I don't have tissues right by me, um, and so then I'll like sleep with my mouth open for like an hour, and even just after an hour, you can like really feel it's like,
you could
it's
feel it.
gross.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to sleep at such a hilarious angle, so my nose opens up.
Oh
It's
right.
bad.
Oh fuck that.
It's
Yeah.
bad. We're doing better. We're doing better. All right. Welcome to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishi Oza.
My name's Asher Hire.
As you can see, I'm still sick. Got to clear my throat every once in a while. We're back, and we are going to be talking about the Broncos this episode. Broncos only, coming off of a huge win, 42-31 victory over the Cleveland Browns on Monday night. One of the most fun games I can remember.
I
Uh,
know.
as a Broncos fan, and it literally in recent memory since man, I like literally since 2019, 2018, probably. It's been a long time since I've watched a game, especially on prime time. Uh, that has brought out that energy. So huge. Denver is sitting at 8-5, a full 2-game lead over the Colts for the 7th spot. They're in a virtual tie, or not a virtual tie. They're in a record tie break with Baltimore. Obviously, Baltimore has a uh, head-to-head tiebreaker, and then they're just a half game back of the Chargers, who they do play in a few weeks. And we're going into a bye week at 8-5 after this is huge. This was a must win for them, honestly. Like if they didn't pull out this win, you're going to the bye week feeling really bad about yourself. But you're feeling great now. I mean, 3 games over 500, rookie quarterback. The amount of like it's great. I'm super super excited for how the last 3 weeks of the season can go for Denver.
Yeah, dude, we're back. Like this is really the first time. I mean, last year, what were we? 3-8 at one point or something, and then we won or I don't know what we were, but whatever.
One
During
and
that,
five, one and
yeah, one
five,
and five,
whatever.
that was stupid. But it felt like, we were out of it just that whole time. It's like no way they can really rattle this off and go into the playoffs. And then obviously it doesn't happen after a disappointing New England loss, which Loki had the same vibes coming into the
Yeah,
game as this game. Primetime game. It wasn't like Sunday night. I forget what that was because it was on NFL
it
Network,
was it
wasn't
was
it?
a Christmas like
Oh,
Christmas Eve game or something,
yeah, yeah, that's what it
and
was.
it was like
Um,
NFL Network primetime night game.
NFL Network. Yeah, and so it kind of felt like, Broncos riding high going into the Patriots game, going against a inferior opponent with nothing to lose. Um, it could have been a disappointment and it was scary. This game was extremely scary, dude. This is the most nervous I've been like during a game uh in a long time. Like during that second to last Cleveland drive. Oh my God, that 3rd and 13 right before Macmillan picked the ball off. Man, my nerves were going crazy when they got that 3rd and 13. I'm like, dude, how can we stop these guys? Like outside of Winston throwing a pick, which obviously he did. It's like we could not stop their offense at all. And so yeah, I was nervous going into this game. The Browns, their offense has actually been good. I think they average like 390 yards per game with Jameis compared to like 280 with Deshaun. Um, and so I mean, you just kind of wonder like what this team could have been like if they had just put Winston in there like everybody was telling them to do after like 3 or 4 games. Um, this is a good Browns team, good defense, tough defense. And they got weapons and a good running back, and obviously a quarterback that can sling it. So I was nervous going in this game. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Broncos got it done. That lead over the Colts is huge, but I like. I was watching, kind of the consensus right now is like the seven playoff teams in the AFC is set. You know, um, I don't know. It's scary, man, because you look at the Colts schedule and they can win every
It's
single
light,
game. And
dude. It's light.
if they win every single game, including beating the Broncos, they're probably going to get in over the Broncos, and that could happen. Like the Broncos still have, um, you can't be all happy right now and riding high just to get disappointed. The Broncos schedule compared to the Colts schedule is like night and day for the last 4 or 5 games. So I mean, it's not a done deal yet, but man, it does feel like a playoff team, man. Like um the way that they came out, I know their defense was bad, but the way that they started that game offensively, you go up 7-0, and it's like, okay, this is different than that Russ against Patriots game. And so it definitely feels different.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels different. But I also think you're 100% right. It is not over. The Colts do have a very, very light schedule. And it started with this Patriots game, which I don't know if it's a sign that the Patriots are not as bad as people might think, or if it's the Colts are maybe worse than people think. But that was like a really good game. That's a game the Patriots should have won. Again,
Dude, I was so
they're a
mad.
bad team.
Like this is the first time like that I'm really cheering for other teams, dude. I was like the biggest Falcons
Yeah,
fan. That pissed me off, dude. Kirk was just making me so mad. And then I was the biggest Patriots fan. And then how both those teams won. It was like nothing was going my way, dude. You can see that behind me.
no,
That happened
yeah,
Saturday. And then it was like all the teams that I wanted to win, except for ASU, all the teams that I wanted to win lost. And that's why I was also kind of nervous for the Broncos game too. But yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be a tight race down the stretch, especially if the Colts beat the Broncos. I mean, it's
yeah.
anyone's game after that.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially a win and you're in game
Yeah,
for the Colts. The Colts also have their bye week this week, so they both teams are going straight into this as rested as they can be this late into the year. But the Colts schedule ends like this: Broncos, then it's Titans, then it's Giants, then it's Jags. There's
yeah.
not the only semi maybe competent team is the Broncos. Like that's the only thing. The Titans are a team that's trying to tank. The Giants are a team that you don't know who's going to be back there at that point. And the Jaguars just potentially lost their quarterback for the rest of the
But
year.
isn't the thing like don't the Jaguars always beat the Colts like during those like 1 in 16
That is
years?
true.
Wouldn't
That
their
is
one
true.
win be against the Colts?
That is true. That could happen. I remember it was in 2021.
Yeah.
Colts. They had the playoff spot locked up. All they had to do was beat the lowly Jags. I
Yes,
don't even remember who
dude.
the quarterback was
Oh my! I need to
for them at
rewatch
that
that
point.
game, dude. Oh my! It was Philip Rivers for the Colts, right? That's
No,
insane.
that was the Carson
Oh, it
Wentz
wasn't?
year
Oh,
when he was like
oh, wow.
resurgent. Everyone was like, "Oh, look at him, he's back! Like he's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
good." And then he had the worst game of his career or
Damn,
something
I
like that.
forgot about that Bro, the Colts have had some quarterbacks. Oh my God.
Dude, because it went Philip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and Matt Ryan back to back to back years.
And now they're doing Joe Flacco, like, bro.
Yeah, it's Flacco, and then it's
And
Andy
then this,
Richardson. It was Gardner Minshew
yeah.
last year for most of it. Like they've had some quarterbacks, but yeah, I guess that is true. It is very possible that the Colts might not actually win that last game, even if the Jags go into it 2-15, 2-6, 2-14.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But the Broncos schedule, we obviously know is much harder. They do have the bye. Then they go Colts. Then they go on the road at Cincinnati. Then Thursday night on the road at LA. Or no, other way around.
Yeah.
Colts at Thursday night at Chargers. Then on the road against Cincinnati. And then at home against Kansas City to finish it off. Which, the way it's looking like, Kansas
I was
City is
gonna
not
say,
going to bench their starters in that last
yeah,
game.
I know.
So that will be a game that Denver probably is going to have to try in. So all these games extremely important. All these games against teams that Denver has to beat. Denver has to beat Indianapolis, right? And they have to beat Cincinnati. I think they can go by without winning the Chargers game because especially, and I think that's why they flexed that. They were okay flexing into the Thursday night for that, because if you remember, Cincinnati originally had that Thursday night game. I don't
Right.
remember who it was against, but they originally had that Thursday night game. So now Denver gets the advantage against Cincinnati, having the longer week, having to travel on the road, rather than Cincinnati having the longer week and facing a team off a shorter week. So I think that's why they did it. So I don't think you have to win that Chargers game, but the Colts and the Bengals game are must wins, because if you win those two games, you're in the playoffs. Those are winning you're in games. But like I look at this team and I'm like, they've been ready for every single big moment that they needed to be. Like every single big moment. The first two games sucked, yeah, but then essentially a must win against Tampa. You come out and that's one of your best offensive games of the season. Against the Jets, it's a big moment for the defense every single time they stepped up. The offense stepped up in the two drives that they had to step up. Against the against the Ravens was the only time that I can really look at them and it was like, all right, it was a letdown. But even then, the next week against Kansas City, you come out and you play well enough to beat the team that has the best record in the NFL. And then against the Falcons, you come out ready to win. Against the Raiders, that could have easily been a trap game. You come out ready to win. Against the Browns, another trap game. You come out ready to win. So this team it comes down to coaching. Like Sean Payton has them ready every single week, and he's keeping them humble too. Every time anyone brings up Bo Nix to him in the press conference, he'll be like, "Yeah, he's doing good, but I hate it when he did this, or I
Yeah.
hate it when he did that." So he's keeping them humble. He knows that there's still room for improvement, which I really, really like. And yeah, I mean, this team, Colin Cowherd has been praising them for a while, and he has these like 5 metrics for playoff teams that I look at and I think are actually pretty good. Um, and you have a quarterback. I think Denver has a quarterback in Bo Nix. The you have the coach in Sean Payton. You have a good defense. Specifically, you have an elite corner in Patrick Surtain. You have a weapon on offense in Cortland Sutton, and you have a left tackle in Garrett Bowles. Like you have all the things that are good to great, and Denver has that. So I'm really looking forward to what they can do over these last 4 games, because I do legitimately think that this is a playoff team.
Yeah. And they also have like things that you really want in the playoffs, a good defense, a solid running game that I wish could be a little better, but it was opening up. It opens up like sometimes during the games. The Broncos will have like one or two drives where they run the ball really well. Um, whether it's Javante, he had his big day, and then McLaughlin had his big day Monday. And then Estime, I feel like Estime is the most like consistent one. But yeah, they got the defense. I think a running game that can be good like at the end of the season. I think they're like really didn't figure out their this 3 running back system. Is Estime gonna play? Man, is Javante like good or is he washed? Like nobody really knows. And then now you add a Marvin Mims wrinkle, which I was like, bro, the amount of times Broncos fans were just clamoring for just a Mims wrinkle to the run game or quick pass game is unbelievable. But Sean Payton eventually got it done, and like it's a real factor. Mims had like a 6 yard run, and then that screen pass out to the right. Oh my God, the way number
Oh,
94 got him was
dude,
insane.
that
But
was an
um,
inches away from a touchdown. And that was like a perfect call too, because they checked to it. You could tell they were blitzing. It was perfect. That was
it
like
was
a
just a great
game-saving
play.
tackle.
I think it
Yeah.
was Dalvin Tomlinson or someone.
Mhm.
It was just a great play, and because yeah, I thought it was a touchdown. I thought it was like over when I saw all the blockers in front. I'm like, oh, this is game right here. And then the defensive tackle comes out of nowhere to stop our fastest guy. Like, come
Yeah.
on. But anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
man. I
It's
mean,
good. This is a good team. I will say, like, they do need to shore some things up, because we've seen it multiple times now where just one corner going down
right.
screws up everything for them, right? When Patrick Surtain went down against the Chargers in that first game, you could tell the rest of the team was not ready to make up for that absence. In this game, Riley Moss is out. Levi Wallace had one of the worst games by any corner I've ever seen in my life. And I
Yeah.
know he's not that bad, but like it clearly
It's
shows when
just
you can
it's
attack
not
someone
his
that heavily.
it's not his thing. He doesn't guard guys on the outside, man-to-man coverage against a
Yeah.
fast guy. That's not him. He's a zone slot corner. Like in Buffalo, in Pittsburgh, he was a slot guy with zone. He's got long arms.
Yeah.
Like he's just supposed to kind of be a like a, whatever a nickelback or even
Yeah.
kind of like a safety linebacker even esque type of thing. Just sit in the slot and be there and disrupt with your length and instincts and stuff. And so that's not his thing on the outside. I didn't like that game plan at all because he had no help over the top too. Every time
Yeah.
he got torched, there was no help. But yeah, I mean, he was like the way he guarded that 70-yard Judy route was
Oh, it's bad.
like he was frozen in his shoes, dude. I'm like, dude, can you like backpedal a little bit or something? Like stay on your toes.
Yeah.
And Judy just runs right by him. But like with the amount of man Denver plays and if they don't get to the quarterback, that was the thing, man. I thought that was the thing for most of the game is that we weren't getting to Jameis. He had all day back there, and when Denver just plays man, pretty much, I mean, he was picking apart the zones too, but the man coverages was when guys were just wide open. He was picking apart the zone for like little 12 yard or 10, 12 yard intermediate throws, which was impressive too. But um, if a corner is down and you're not getting pressure, it's tough to hold up in man. It's so hard to hold up in man for
Yeah.
more than like 3 seconds. The was it Elijah Moore? Yeah, it was Elijah Moore where he Jameis rolled out to the left and then found Moore. It was the second
Yeah.
44-yard gain because they had two.
Mhm.
Um, like Wallace guarded the initial route, which was just a slant. He guarded that initial route fine. That's beautiful. And that's really all you can ask in man coverage. Just guard the initial route. But then if you don't get pressure, now the quarterback's scrambling, it's hard to stick with guys. And he's not the fastest, obviously. And so he's not going to stick with Elijah
Yeah.
Moore. So I mean, yeah, it's like you need to get pressure, and this is the first time I know the Broncos still finished. Um, they closed it strongly. I feel like pass rush wise, but and they finished with 3 sacks. But most of the game, man, he was just standing back there, just clean as day, and that was what I kind of felt like was the real issue at first. Um,
Yeah.
but then,
It was,
but
yeah.
but
No,
then
it
they
was
made the big play though. Like, yeah. So
exactly. Yeah, like they came up when they needed to, obviously. Like the McMillan pick at the end was really good. The Bonito pick was like I didn't know he had that coverage ability in him. That was great
yeah,
because
he guarded three
he was
people.
playing it like a he's playing like a middle linebacker. I
Yeah.
was shocked. I always hate it. I every
Oh
single
my
time I
God, dude.
see like Bonito, Cooper, when Browning was still here as an edge, when he was out there, when they would send Chubb or Von Miller out
I
covering, I'm like, what the
know.
hell are we doing?
And it's
These guys are
Vance
edge
Joseph's
rushers.
defense. Like it was only him that would put those guys out in coverage like that. But yeah, that was the first time, man, he guarded three people literally. There's like a corner route. He guarded him
Yeah.
initially, and there was another. There was like two guys in the same spot. It was kind of weird, but then he eventually broke off. But he guarded like three people and then stepped in front of it.
Mhm.
And dude, that like literally nobody's catching him. He's so fast. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
He is very, very like he has insane speed. I saw it again too. It was this one play where he started on the right side, he got chipped, and then he floated towards the left or floated towards the
Yes,
left, and then Jameis stepped outside the pocket for like a half of a second, like a
I
hair,
know.
and he sprints straight past the right tackle and gets pressure on him and forces a tough throw. And like his speed and closing speed is unbelievable. And like I
I
didn't know that
think
he had this much talent in him. Like this is ridiculous how good he's been
yeah,
over
yeah.
the course of the
And
season.
then I think his one sack he had, I feel like was similar to that too. Like he got chipped but pushed back like into the inside of the tackle. So he initially was running outside, and then the guy chipped him and pushed him back inside, and he used that
Yeah.
momentum to get around the tackle. And I think Winston was right there. I think that was his sack. And then yeah, he got another big hit. He got the uh, elbow of Winston. He had like two or three passes defensed in this game, and man, like he's racking up these stats. Who else has a pick six? Not many people. And when you combine that with 10 sacks and all these passes defensed, I mean,
Yeah.
Depoy is
No,
like a
it's
real thing. If he can close this out, if he can close these 4 games out, insanely well and like get like if he can end with 15 sacks and a pick six, nobody's running away with Depoy right now.
I was gonna say there's not like a clear favorite. I mean, TJ Watt hasn't been the same guy. I mean, well, it hasn't been the same because he's getting double teamed every possession. Like the
Yeah,
attention is all on him,
yeah,
but he's not doing much. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is having a really good year from a sack perspective, but and typically it's that or like a middle linebacker. There's no middle linebacker out there who's putting up
yeah.
insane tackle numbers, who's also forcing turnovers, anything
I
like
feel like
that.
the only way a corner can win it is if they get like all these picks and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
which first off is really stupid because I feel like if you
yeah,
get no picks, that should show that
I
you're
know,
just as
I
good
know.
as the corner. It's so dumb. I don't get the whole thing behind it. But
Yeah,
regardless, yeah, I think like there's a legit shot. Either him or Sertan like can get legitimate buzz for defensive player of the year. It's turned into like an edge rusher, defensive lineman type of thing. Um, so he could win it. Like, or he could at least get some attention for it, especially if Denver finishes the year strong, like
right,
record
right.
wise. He could really, really do it. And yeah, he's been incredible. Like Zach Allen was the guy in the beginning of the year where he was just generating like 5, 6 pressures a game,
And he's still,
and
dude, he
teams.
still leads the league in pressures
It's
from defensive tackles.
it's ridiculous. I mean, he's still having an insane year, but teams are having to like game plan for him.
Yeah.
So it opened up so much for Benito and Cooper off the edges, and he's taking full advantage. Now after this game, they're gonna start having to game plan for Benito, and who knows? Maybe that opens stuff up for Cooper. Jonah Ellis has been really, really good since they traded Baron Browning. He's been incredible, sacking 3 straight games. I feel like every time he's out there on the field, he makes a play, makes an impact. So, I mean,
Even
this
like
Denver
e-
defense, man,
even Franklin
they got
Myers is good.
yeah,
I thought Tillman was good in this game. I mean, he was in the backfield a lot, flashing. Um, yeah, man, they
yeah,
have a rotation. It's crazy. It's
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's luck. It's really like it's just lucky. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's like all these because they really were like no name guys, like from the NFL uh, eyes. With Cooper being a sixth round pick, Benito was a late second, Ellis was a third, right?
yeah.
And then Zach
Franklin
Allen.
Myers was a
Yeah,
Franklin Myers was traded for like a 6. Like they
yeah,
got him for
yeah.
pretty much nothing. Zach Allen's the only big guy, but even then, he's not like a
He was
big
still
name. He
like
was kind of a big
underrated though.
contract.
Right, right.
Yeah, he wasn't like when people signed him. I know when I knew who he
I
was, but
was
when I signed
hyped.
him, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, he was worth that much.
Right, right.
Um, and he was excellent last year. He's been excellent again this year. The middle linebackers is what I have been really, really impressed by. Because Cody Barton
Yes.
and Justin Sternad have been excellent back there, specifically Sternad, because I knew he was an incredible athlete. And he's been excellent on special teams through his first, whatever, it's been 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. But he just never had an opportunity to come in and play real snaps. But with the amount of injuries that they've had there, he's been forced into that, and man, he's been incredible in coverage in the run game. Cody Barton's been great
Yeah, it's
as that
crazy.
second guy.
I'm like wondering like what is it? Is it the scheme or something? Like because again, these guys are like Cody Barton was like trash, man, in Washington. He was he wasn't
He
good.
was,
And
he was
then
not good. He was okay in Seattle, but Washington was
yeah,
bad.
and then Singleton, dude. I thought he was the worst linebacker in the NFL when he was playing with the Eagles. And then Sternad, yeah, he comes out of nowhere. Remember, like Jonas Griffith was good when he was healthy.
Yeah,
So I wonder if it's some Joseph scheme that he's because but when he was coach though, it would be always like the tight ends getting open against the linebackers and stuff,
yeah, yeah,
pissing me
exactly.
off. And then but I don't know, maybe he changed something or the players just got better. I don't know, something.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, they've been excellent. The safety rotation's been great. Brandon Jones was an excellent addition. Obviously,
Yeah.
we know how good
Dude,
Justin Simmons
he
was,
keeps
but
getting
Brandon
hurt
Jones,
though, bro.
yeah, he keeps getting injured, and he's not as good of a coverage guy as Simmons was, at least man on man, because Simmons could take guys like out of the game when we were talking about like tight ends and stuff. Like they wouldn't exist. Brandon Jones is still getting beat by people, and I know he played good coverage on the Njoku touchdowns.
Yeah.
Njoku's just a excellent player, and they were perfect throws. Nothing much you could do about it. But he's been good. PJ Locke has been much better than I thought in a full time role. this year compared to what he was last year with Kareem Jackson out. So they have the guys, man. Riley Moss has gotten better week by week. Hopefully he's healthy coming out of the bye. Because again, that Colts team is built kind of similarly on the outside that Cleveland is. It's a lot of speed, and it's a lot of guys who, if you're playing strictly man and you're not going to get pressure, especially on a mobile quarterback like Anthony Richardson, it's going to be hard to just stay covered that long. So they need Moss out there. There's guys like Downs and Mitchell and Pittman, and Alec Pierce and all those guys they have. So but this defense is legitimately good, and I know they gave up 32 points, but it wasn't like they were playing awful defense the entire one of them. If you take, if like you allow Jerry Judy to have a good game, right? If he has like 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, right? This game is not even close to as like it's not an 11-point game or a one
Yeah,
possession game late. Like Denver is blowing them out, but he had 10 catches and 250 yards. Like it
yeah,
was unbelievable how open he was every single
yeah.
time.
Dude, this is oh man, it's such a legendary game, bro. Like this is the type of game that I'm like, even if I wasn't a Broncos fan, just the story around it, like it's something that if I see on like NFL Throwbacks YouTube channel, like in 10 years, like I'm gonna watch it. Like even if I'm not a Broncos fan, it's just so many big plays. Jerry Judy was awesome, like um, man, like
I
it
was
just I
low-key kind of
couldn't.
happy to see it, man.
I
Like
know, that's what I was saying. Like I couldn't hate. I know the Broncos fans were hating, but I feel like we have a more level-headed like mind compared to
yeah,
just fans who are just like they don't really know anything, but they're just fans, so they just hate
yeah,
on opposing players. But yeah, no, I was happy for him, man. But yeah, his revenge game, he goes up for 235. Are you kidding me? Like they showed that graphic as the most a receiver has ever had against their former team. So he literally has the best revenge game any receiver has ever had in the NFL. Um, Winston throws the ball 58 times, 500 yards, but he throws 3 picks. It's literally Jameis Winston's career summed up
yeah,
into one game. Even like Kadarius Toney makes an appearance. What a random appearance.
yeah.
Um, I had no idea he was on their team, dude. And then they handed it off to him, and then there's like, oh, there's Tony. I'm like, what? He's still in the league?
I I was
Um,
I was keeping track of it. I was still working. Like I was at the very end of my shift when the game started, so I was watching on like the Real app, and I saw Kadarius Toney like 4 yard rush. I was like, what?
yeah. I know it was
It's so
random.
funny.
But then yeah, the big Mims play followed right back with the big Judy play. Oh my God, man. I was just praying we won this game um so that all these big plays would be like worth it. Um
Yeah,
because like even if games are good, like if there's a good Ohio State Michigan game, um but Ohio State loses, like I'm never watching that
yeah,
ever again. Like I don't want anything to do with anything, even a good Ohio State play. I don't even want to like smell it. So,
yeah.
like if we had lost this game, oh man, I might actually be mad at Jerry Judy. But
No,
yeah.
like we all knew how talented this guy was. It was so evident that he could get open whenever he wanted. It just it didn't have whatever it was a scheme. What if it was the quarterback wasn't right? Obviously, you had the issue in 2020. He's a rookie coming in a pandemic. They had no off season. He comes in and Locke gets hurt. And you don't know who's quarterback for half the season, and it's a real
Dude,
weird
and
situation. And then
you know what I was thinking the whole game? I was like, this is the literal perfect receiver for this Broncos team right now. I was like, if Bo Nix had Jerry Judy right now, man, oh my God.
it literally like that is the exact weapon that Denver needs. They need a
A
they need a
shifty,
receiver
like,
who can get
yeah.
open, a slot guy, someone in between. They have the big play contested guy in Sutton, and they have the deep threat in Mims. They just need it in between. They just need the dude who could do both,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what Jerry Judy is. And yeah, I mean he's awesome, man. I love the fact that he had this. And since Jameis has been quarterback, he's been excellent. Like he has had I think 75 plus yards in every single game that Jameis has been quarterback. And yeah, this game just the epitome of it. Obviously, we would like to see Pat Surtain on him more, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea why he wasn't just
Yeah.
shadowing
Did you
him.
see the like those two catches that he gave up? Those two curl routes where Jerry
Yeah,
pushed off. Um, those are the only two catches he allowed. It was like, but
yeah.
he I think he tracked him for like 20 snaps or something like that. Um, but
He
it
was on
wasn't
him a lot.
enough. It wasn't enough though.
Yeah, yeah.
But he,
Like
I
and those
think,
and those
yeah,
two catches he had, yeah, like we pushed off, but it's not like awful coverage. It's a great anticipation throw. It's
right.
Jameis
It just
going to a
happens.
spot, Jerry come and get it. Like
Yeah.
that happens to every single corner, and there's no corner who's guarding that. Like it's not like Pat did anything wrong. So I mean,
The
that
only
was a
time he
phenomenal
did
game.
something wrong though was that he wasn't manned up against him, but I think it was his zone on like a 3rd and 11. They were at like the Broncos 20, and he swings it out and gets tipped by Ford into Judy's hands, and he runs for
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
down. I was like, no way that just happened. I think that was Sertan's fault, but
Yeah, they showed on the broadcast like he sank
yeah,
in a
yeah.
little bit too much, even though he had the safety help. I also think on the Nick Chubb touchdown, that might have been his fault because you
I don't
could
know
see the safeties and everyone like they were telling
oh,
him to
really?
like shift, telling somebody to shift because they knew that they were checking to that route. But he was on Judy, like he's not gonna leave Judy in that situation. So I don't know. I think that was just a
Dude,
bad call overall.
the other like weird thing, which I feel like nobody's brought up, is like the pick six by McMillan. If you look right behind him, Judy's standing on the sidelines. I'm like, he's not even in the game. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he was hurt. I haven't seen anybody say anything about that, but I noticed it right away. He had like his jacket on. And that was the the clutchest drive of the game, the one of the clutchest plays of the game, and he's not out there. I wonder what happened, and I wonder if it would have been different if he was out there. Um,
Yeah.
it was
I mean, there were
just
a couple
interesting.
snaps. There were a couple like big snaps where he wasn't like third downs where he wasn't on the field. It was weird. I don't know what it was. Maybe just like a fatigue thing. They just wanted to save him because it was what was the first play out of the 2 minute, I'm pretty sure. Or like the second play out of the 2 minute. It was pretty shortly outside of that Elijah Moore catch on the sideline. So
It
I
was the
think
next
maybe it was a
play, yeah.
fatigue thing, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean that was just such an incredible game. Like because like you mentioned, like the Patriots game last year. That's a great game. Like if you're a neutral fan watching that, like that's a phenomenal game because it's a not good team getting a jump on a playoff contender. The playoff contender comes back, does everything right to come back, and then it's one bad drive later, and the Patriots win with
And
the worst kicker in the league last
oh,
year hitting like a
that's what
sixty
I'm
yard or something.
saying.
Like
I know.
like
That was just
that's
brutal.
so unfortunate. But this game, I can rewatch this as much as I want because there's a
Yeah,
phenomenal ending. It's exactly what I wanted to happen. And yeah, I mean that's just this team has it. They have what they need. And we haven't even talked about like Bo, what he did right. Like we've just stuck on the defense the whole time. I
yeah.
mean, Bo, he did a great job. I thought the first pick wasn't. I mean, it's a tough throw, a tough catch to make for Franklin. Excellent coverage from Denzel Ward, and he had pressure coming off the backside, and it's a ridiculous tip because he's pushing his hand down and it somehow goes 10 yards in the air. The second one, I think it's mostly on Peyton. I mean, I know Peyton took responsibility for it in the post game, but I hate that call overall. It's just an
Yeah.
awful
Just
awful
weird.
decision. But I think overall, you take those two plays out. Um, well, I'll say you take the second pick out because the first pick, I mean that stuff happens. But you take the second pick out. He had a great game. I mean,
Yeah.
200, almost 300 yards. He had the throw to Mims might be the throw of the season, like in the NFL. Legitimately, it's ridiculous. It gets better the more I watch it.
Dude, I love
Um,
that. I love when that happened right after Aikman was just, oh my God. He spent like 2 minutes just talking about how bad Bo Nix has been in the game. And then he hit him with the
Yeah, he's like, why are they dropping back in the end zone with all this
yeah.
pressure and he's missing all the underneath routes and everything, and he
And
throws
his footwork looks
the
bad, and
missile.
he dude,
Yeah,
one thing
I loved it. I loved it.
like
That was
he played well.
yeah.
One thing I'm like confused about these past few weeks is him not running. It's like I don't know what happened. It seems
I
like
know,
it's
I know. Today for sure, or yesterday was his back for sure. Like that was because he did have that did flare up at the end of the Raiders game, but he didn't run at all in the Raiders game
yeah,
even before that. And he didn't run in the Falcons game either. So, well,
right.
that is a quiz. But I know for yesterday for sure it was the back.
Did you run in the Chiefs game at all?
I don't know.
No, he didn't. He literally didn't in the
Interesting.
Chiefs game. Let me see the Ravens game. He did in the Ravens. Yeah, he did in the Ravens. Um, I it feels like it's Sean Payton, and I say this because like the read option works so well, and he just stopped calling it.
Yeah,
And then Nix has had opportunities to take off, and he hasn't. And then the one time that he does take off on a 3rd and 12, if that's the Tampa game, he's juking somebody, trying to run through the guy, trying to get a first down. Um, and he slid like just very like like timidly. Um, and I mean, that's got to be Peyton, right? Telling him like not to run,
yeah,
not to run, and then he's like, ah, okay, I'm gonna run, but I'm not gonna take a hit. I'm gonna make sure I don't take a hit because coach told me not to take a hit. Like, I don't know. I'm worried about that, man. I hate when coaches do that. I just absolutely hate it
yeah.
because it's
And
a
I
real
also
part
think
of the game.
it is a legit part of his game, and it was like, yeah, I mean, what was it through like 5 weeks? He was the leading rusher for the
Yeah,
Broncos. Like it was
yeah,
for a while, and I think it's also because Denver is calling a lot more throws just in general. Like they are just a lot more quick one, like my first read, second read, eat it type of throws. Um, and I think that's probably part of it because they're getting him in a rhythm earlier. The offensive line is also just playing better. Like he's not forced out of the pocket nearly as much as he was early in the season. But I do want to see him run more because it does help. I thought on a couple of these bootlegs
yeah,
he could have just kept it himself. I thought on when Burton ran it in for the touchdown, the play before when they called the holding on Ward, I thought he might have had an angle to run in him
yeah.
himself on that. Um, I don't. I think it was the drive when they had the field goal to go up 31-25. He it was like he was backed up in the end zone. He's rolling and he throws it to Sutton. Um, and they were all saying, like, oh, yeah, the underneath route, and he didn't throw it to Sutton. I was like, he could have also just ran it himself, and
Right,
that
right.
would have been the safest option. He would have gotten 7, 8, 9 yards. So that is something to keep an eye on coming out of the bye week,
Like
especially.
I just feel like you don't want to add like this could be the like thing that makes the run game go like for the rest of the season is if you can add a little bit of this QB run so that the defenders are just on their toes a little bit. Like you don't have to run, just running like once a game is just a read option or something where Nix keeps it. Um
Yeah,
and that just keeps the defense honest, man. Then now you don't know if it's Mims, you don't know if it's Nix, or you don't know if it's a running back getting it. Um, so like I want to see that re-implemented into the offense, and I hope like Payton is a smart guy. Um, I feel like yeah, everything that we kind of like hope for, he eventually gets to. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
I hope so. And I think coming out of the bye week, I'm sure maybe it was just like these last 4 weeks. Maybe something happened with Bo injury wise that they weren't fully honest with. Because I guess in the NFL injury report, you just don't have to say anything pretty much.
yeah,
Um, but I'm sure, and I know for 100% last game, yesterday was his back because you could tell like after the Raiders game it was an issue. You could tell he was had the wrap around it every time he was on the bench. Oh my nose. Um, but yeah, so yeah, coming out of the bye week, maybe if the team's just a little healthier, um, teams are scheming against different things, they'll bring it out. I like the idea that you said though, like they could have, um, I don't know what formation it's called, but it's like the pistol and the shotgun, where you could have Mims lined up behind Bo, and then you could have Javante or Estime or McLaughlin lined up next to him, and run some sort of like triple option RPO thing. I mean, that seems like a Sean
oh,
Payne thing to
that'd be
do.
crazy. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Like
like,
yeah, just
and
like have one Taysom Hill play per game for Knicks.
yeah, and they kind of that Troy Franklin screen that almost got to the end zone. I think that's something that they could do a little more because
Mm,
that looked like it was a
Look,
run. Like
yeah,
Bo
dude.
pulled it, he was running, and then he threw the screen instead,
And
made
that
the
was a
defender
weird
commit.
pass, dude. I like it was
Yeah,
dangerous, but
it's right next to
got through.
Humphrey.
Right, right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. I'm excited that there's a
Yeah.
lot that this team can grow on, even with the stuff that's on the roster. And I mean, Bo is a legit contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Sean Payton, I don't know who else can win Coach of the Year over Sean Payton. Like I'm thinking about it, Dan Quinn is the only other contender who I think has a shot because he's in a similar position where it's not the greatest roster and a rookie quarterback, but Sean Payton
Harbaugh.
has or Harbaugh, yeah. But I think those have to be the three finalists because if it just goes to Dan Campbell for having like the best record or whatever, like
Yeah.
that's just I feel like that's a cop out because that's just the easiest thing to do. But Sean Payton with this roster that I don't want to forget this or I don't want to let anyone forget this. Major media outlets were calling for the Broncos to get the number one overall pick next year, like but before the season.
Oh, all the
There's so many mock drafts. I saw Denver number one, picking Travis Hunter or whoever,
right.
and it's like
All the
I don't I don't get it.
they also ranked the rosters 32nd in the league, like pretty much all of them.
Yeah, all around. And he's doing this with $70 million of dead cap weighing on the
Yeah.
roster. So this is essentially the same roster and same scheme as it was last
Dude,
season.
like people forget, like I think with all such the low expectations, people forget that this same exact team with a worse quarterback won 8 games last year. Like 8 games. Like they were close to the playoffs with this
Yeah,
team. And that was, the year obviously that the defense was bad, but they eventually were at I thought like great at the end of last season. But so like I thought that was going to translate, but people look at all the stats and 27th in points per game. Yeah, because they allowed 70 to Miami in like week 5. Like, bro, who cares?
yeah,
Of course that's going to inflate the stats. Um and so yeah, like going into this year, I thought Bo Nix, um, I kept saying like I thought Bo Nix day one would be better than Russ, and that probably wasn't true, not day one, but like it's obvious that we would rather have Bo Nix in this offense than Russ in this offense.
yeah.
Um,
No,
so
absolutely.
I mean it's a
Yeah,
good
Bo has
team,
been
but
it's been way better, and I'm excited to see like because I don't know if you saw it. Josh Reynolds got waived today. Like they
yeah,
decided to move on from him, so they're going with this receiving core, which to me it seems like, hey, Devon Vele, this is your time. Like you are receiver number 3 right now. Um, he might be receiver number 2 right now. Actually,
yeah, that's what
it's
I think.
probably Sutton, Vele, and then a
Mims,
combination of Mims or
Franklin.
Humphrey and Franklin. Yeah, it's
Oh,
probably
I
Franklin.
keep
I mean,
forgetting about Humphrey. Yeah,
yeah. I mean Humphrey. They've dialed down his targets
yeah,
lately,
they
which
have.
is good.
He's still on the field though.
Thankfully,
It's just
he's
like
there
there
for
was
blocking.
there was one play, man, I forget. I feel like it was like a third down and I saw Humphrey out there. I'm like, dude, why? Like an obvious
Yeah.
passing third down. Anyway, anyways, dude, Broncos or I mean Nuggets start soon. I gotta eat.
Oh, oh Jesus!
Um
I'm sorry, 54. Yeah, Nuggets
yeah,
should start soon against the Warriors. Hopefully they win. Hopefully they make some free throws. Otherwise, I'm gonna tear my hair out. I'm gonna show up to work with
but
a mohawk.
apparently though the Intuit Dome, like the opponents have only shot 70% at the Intuit Dome or something. Like worst in
Oh,
the it's hardest to shoot at the Intuit Dome in the league because of the wall,
I mean,
I guess.
I guess yeah. Well, I feel like all their misses were on the other side though.
I know, so I don't know.
That's what
Yeah,
I was thinking. Because the wall's not on both sides. Right? It's only on one
I
side.
think. Yeah, I don't
I don't know.
know.
They just have to make free throws. Jamal Murray has to be better, and they
Classic.
need to figure out screen navigation and offensive rebounding. And they're
And
good.
somebody needs to guard Curry because we haven't guarded anybody's number one option well at all this season.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh Lord.
Dude,
Well,
who's
we'll
gonna
see.
guard Curry? I don't know. There's
Dude,
literally
because KCP shut him down.
I
KCP, his
know,
screen
but
navigation, we're
but
starting to see
obviously
that come out.
yeah, but see,
Like
yes, dude, exactly. That's what it is. CV's just not fast enough on the
his
perimeter.
screen navigation's not as good. He's not as good coming around, cutting through stuff. Um, because he's not as skinny. He's not as like
Yeah, he's
lanky
too
and
big.
agile. Yeah, he's too big. So yeah, he's great against Anthony Edwards, but against
Yeah,
Steph Curry, James Harden, it's not going to be as good. So we'll see what happens. There's no Draymond Green, so that's a huge plus for Denver. Um, there is literally one singular center on this roster, so Jokic should eat pretty good.
should.
Aaron Gordon should have a good game. Michael Porter has been great. Hopefully he gets some action in the second half, unlike last game. So
Dude,
we'll see. It'll be a good game. It'll be a good game. I don't
dude's
even know
still
if Denver has a
getting
chance to make it to the tournament.
he's still getting benched on a max contract on the fourth quarter. It's
That
just
was that was
ridiculous.
ridiculous. I
After
hope
playing
it was
well
because
too.
of his eye. I hope it was because
Oh,
of his eye. I really do. But at the same time, I don't think it was. Like there's so many instances where it's happened.
yeah,
Like where he'll get benched, but Jamal Murray, who has objectively been a worse defender than Michael Porter this season, is
yeah.
not. So I don't know. We could do a whole other episode on the Nuggets' issues and struggles this year. So we'll probably do that at some point. Broncos bye week, so we'll have time to talk about the Nuggets
Definitely.
going forward because it could get kind of scary for them pretty soon. So thank you guys for watching. We will see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Yeesh.